Hello and welcome to the Lunar Review. I'm Vanessa and today I'm talking about Pluto going retrograde. So Pluto starts his retrograde on May 4th and goes all the way until October 13th, 14th, depending on where you live in the world. And the retrograde starts in 3 degrees of Aquarius and ends in 1 degree of Aquarius. So a retrograde planet is one that looks like it's moving backwards in the sky, and that is from our perspective here on Earth, because of course the planet isn't actually moving backwards, it's just an optical illusion. However, it is a significant event in astrology because when a planet is retrograde, it is said to not be behaving in its normal way, and it's not exhibiting the qualities that it has in the normal way. It's not the way that we're used to. So with retrogrades in general, there's an introversion. There is more emphasis on introspection, reflection, paying attention to inner dialogue. Qualities are no longer expressed in that outward yang fashion. So we go from being outward and yang, and we go into being more yin. So we go inward. So it might look like not a lot is happening on the outside. It's a bit like a pregnancy that when you're in a yin state, something significant is happening, but it's under the covers, under the blankets, it's underground, it's the seed growing, or when, there is a pregnancy, it's what is going on without calling attention to itself. It's going on in the dark and it's active, but from the perspective of outside, it really doesn't look like there's too much going on. And during retrogrades, that's when you start to see the cracks in your life, the cracks in the wall, the small wrinkles, just things that you really hadn't noticed before, or things may not necessarily be starting to degrade or decay or go wrong during the retrograde, but it's during this period that you'll start to recognize these things. So this can be a time of revelation, and the retrograde, in essence, it opens up time for us, and it gives us time to study, revise, redo, reorder, reverse course if need be, all these rewords, like to rework and reorder. And anything out of order is going to be like a red flag, and it's going to beckon our attention. And this is so that we can fix it by dedicating a lot of time to the matter. Pluto is the most demanding planet in astrology, in my opinion. Mars is very demanding as well, but Pluto, I think, even takes it one step further, because Pluto calls for a complete transformation of your entire being, of your soul. With Pluto, if you are not constantly evolving, growing, or developing, then you start to atrophy, and then that's when death can occur. So when we are hit with Pluto energy, when we're hit hard, it can definitely feel like there is a death of sorts, and sometimes it can be literal. Absolutely, with Pluto, there can be physical death, but there can also be metaphorical and non-literal type of deaths. And always after, when you are able to make it through a Pluto transit, you feel the sense of rebirth and renewal and regeneration afterwards. Pluto would have us asking what would happen if we never died, and that we just got to be immortal. Would we be lacking in some experiences, or would we not be able to reach a certain depth of emotion that really would not be for our benefit, that we would be devoid, that some part of our essence, our soul, would not develop properly without having known fear or faced our own immortality. So when Pluto retrogrades, we have a lot of time and space to start contemplating these really intense, deeper issues about ourselves. So this is the taboo things, the really tough to look at things, the things that are dark and hidden. This is where we have more strength, and we have more courage, and we have more reason to delve deeper into this part of ourselves. And although dramatic transformations are definitely a signature of Pluto, sometimes you can sense Pluto coming on. It's the rumble in the ground right before a magnitude 5 earthquake, or it's the wind picking up and the sky suddenly getting dark right before a rainstorm. Pluto is like a giant crypt, and in this crypt is where we send all the unthinkable, all the unmanageable, all of the pain and the shame, And during the retrograde, this is the time that we have to actually deep dive into the script and just unearth all this psychic garbage. Because when we integrate it into our lives, bring it to light, we become better and stronger, and we basically become more whole. And there's more time during the retrograde to grasp and utilize just the sheer magnitude of power that Pluto wants us to handle. This retrograde lasts until October 14th, so between now and then you can see your progress. How am I at the beginning? How am I at the end? At the end is when you're more likely to see the progress, especially as Pluto starts to go direct. And it's good that we have these, I think, these frequent retrograde periods with Pluto, because he's so intense and he rules the subconscious. And the subconscious by nature it's hard to access, it's hard to recognize, and it's hard to work with. But with Pluto, he wants us to channel power. He wants us to become more powerful and handle our power in just a very artful, graceful, and masterful way. Pluto retrograde is a yin period, so acting and performing yin activities can actually bring you closer to the energy of Pluto retrograde, which includes bringing you closer to your subconscious. So activities that you can do to kind of stir up your yin would be just being quiet, being still, meditating, giving yourself time to rest at home, going for walks by yourself, pay attention to your dreams, having intense conversations, especially one-on-one or, intense therapeutic sessions. If you can just try and look at painful areas that you normally avoid, that would be great, so then you can rectify the situation. The promise of Pluto is that you can and you will transform. He's magical in that way. So when you've hit rock bottom, or you just feel like you're free falling or you're out of control, Pluto will revitalize you. And this is because he has dominion over power, and that is power with a capital P. He's got dominion over power, renewal, and subconscious forces. And I would say that trifecta, that recipe, power, renewal, and subconscious forces, is the recipe for rebuilding and renewing and transforming yourself. He is a destroyer, definitely. He is not to be taken lightly, but the destruction that he brings has the possibility of regrowth and regeneration and renewal that comes with it. So if there is some area of your life where you just feel like you're out of control or you're feeling completely powerless, make a note of it and just concentrate on that during this retrograde and see how it develops. See if you can change the situation and transform. So I would say, as always, to just get the most out of this transit and enjoy, and I will be back again.